We have a question from somebody from Facebook, from Richard Lawrence, and it's kind of a two-part question. He asks, was there a moment in your life when you realized that you can do things with your voice that most people can't do? And also, how important is training and practice to get the most out of your talents?
Those are such great questions. When I got into high school, well, my dad had tried to get me to play piano because, you know, he was a smart pianist and organist. And he was just like, you know, you're going to want this training if you ever want to do anything in music. And he was totally right, but I was very obstinate about it. So after 2 years of him just like, you know, pulling teeth to get me to practice, he finally caved and told me that I could start taking voice lessons instead. So I started those when I was 12, and I was doing musical theater and stuff at the time. So I thought maybe that's what I wanted to do. And then when I got into high school, my teacher said, you know, you should really start looking at classical stuff. Like, we're going to start working on that kind of stuff. And I was like, ugh, boring, you know, like, but I think he discovered really early on that I liked doing coloratura. I liked doing lots of like tricks, you know, like any like vocal technique tricks that I thought felt like, you know, I don't know, cool. Then he would try and find pieces to do those with me. Doing melismas just felt like riding a bike. I don't think it occurred to me that like that was unique in any way until I started going to competitions with that kind of rep. And then my friend Efrain Solis, sorry, that's his name. He and I went to college together, and we actually did a competition together in high school too, when we were both seniors. And he loves to tell this story of how the first time he met me, he thought I was kind of an egomaniac because we were both backstage, and I used to get horrible stage fright, like really bad. Like I would be shaky and cold and just like sweating, and it was awful. And so I was like pacing back and forth to go on stage for this competition. And Efren's always like really chill. And so he was like, hey, what are you singing? And I was like, I'm singing Tornania Vaga Gar from Semigamide by Rossini. And he was like, wow, that's really hard. And I was like, yeah, I know, you know, and like, but he thought I was going, yeah, I know. And I'm like, that is not how that happened. But like, he loves telling that story. There are things that were a lot harder for me. Like, I learned the role of Pamina when I was in college. And I remember just like these like slow melodic arias were really just daunting to me. I was like, man, singing something this slow and like hovering on a note for so long feels weird. And I don't feel comfortable with my voice in this, you know, in this arena. And so it really just depends on the person. But, you know, anyway, to pivot to the next part of the question, like practice is really just the number one thing that you got to do. And I think it's very satisfying as a singer to find something that looks daunting or maybe just daunting to you and try and get there. So like a lot of the skills that I had when I was younger, I was like, in college, I was like, my voice teacher at the time suggested, let's not focus on those. Let's focus on the ones that you don't want to do. So she gave me all this rep that was very non-coloratura things and had like a lot of middle range in it. Like she was like, I want to beef up your middle range and your low range. And I was like, what if I lose my high notes, you know? But she, you know, listen to your teachers.
Well, Anna, we're obviously so happy for all of the amazing achievements you've had in your career so far, and we can't wait to see, you know, what your next steps will lead you. And I'm wondering, were there times when you when you felt like you were rejected? And you know, for all of the singers who are watching, all the musicians who are watching, do you have any encouragement about how you've dealt with rejection?
Yeah, I mean, plenty of adults told me this when I was younger. But there are lots of things that I think like, oh, I would be perfect for this. And, you audition for it and they're just not into you. And I think when I stopped seeing it as a strictly me problem, it became a lot easier to take because, obviously there are things that you can always improve on. So like, it's not like I walk out of every audition like, well, if they don't hire me, it's their loss, because that's not the case. Like, of course, I go home and like, pick apart everything I did in my brain and like agonize over it. But, there are lots of times where I think, like, I probably didn't fit their aesthetic, I probably, like, someone, I think Mr. Tim McDougall told me this too. Like, if someone doesn't want to hire you, it might just be because you're taller than the tenor. It might just be because, whatever, something you can't even think of, So I think that makes it a lot easier. And also just like getting rejected more hurts less when you're also like getting accepted to other things. So I think it's just also kind of a numbers game. Like the more you put yourself out there, the more rejection you'll get, but the more celebration you'll get too.
That's amazing. Well, Adam, I guess we'll head on to our last question, which is that, is there a piece of music that during this time you found particularly helpful for you to cope with?
One thing I have started doing since lockdown started is I started like trying to make more time to like go on walks. And while I was on walks, I was like, I want to listen to just like one cohesive piece all the way through. So it was kind of perfect timing because Master Chorale had just started doing Sundays at 7. And so the first like long walk I took was to listen to that first concert. Parrot's Beatitudes is on that one because it was the Parrot Whitaker concert, I think. And that one just really stuck out to me. I remembered it from my first concert with Master Chorale. I was already just like, I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm in Disney Hall. So we're doing all this new stuff and with the organ, and we sang Parrot's Beatitudes, and I like had never heard that piece before we started working on it. And I just remember the end. I was like, oh, like, this is so amazing, where it all just hits you at once. So if I have to pick a piece to, get to the end of this long answer, it would be that one, but also specifically Master Chorale singing it, because I think they're the best,
So I think we're going to leave our audience tonight with the recording from that performance of the Beatitude by Avo Parrot. And in the meantime, I'll just say, Anna, thank you so much for talking to me and Jenny today. Thanks for being such an awesome artist. And we can't wait to sing together again sooner than
me
later.
Too. Thank you so much for having me. You were both such inspirations, and it's really great to see you and talk to you.